Well, we got a long list of things to do in the garden, and we're going around and we're making changes and just evaluating, because this is that time of year. And what I'm doing is I'm building out my winter plan of what needs to be done to improve my garden even further than we talked about in the last video. Just coming out here to check on my parsnips, and we've got, I don't know, man. Parsnips are kind of difficult, but we have got some serious weeds growing here, so we got to get rid of these. I can't even tell what's a parsnip and what's not. That's the problem. And this is really one of the steps that's just, it's really important, is being able to tell what you got growing in your damn garden, you know? So, I mean, I'm going to take a few minutes and just weed this so that we can actually get a look and just see what we do in fact have growing here. One thing I always told myself was, when it came to the YouTube channel, you know, Sandy Bottom Homestead, and even the Backyard Gardens podcast, and then balancing that with the podcast, or with my garden itself, my actual homestead, what I decided was I would never let either one of those platforms compromise what I do in the garden. And it's kind of made that so it's started to happen over the past year, I believe. And what it is I've been focusing so much on, you know, making videos that would tell you something instead of showing you stuff. I mean, look, y'all don't need a video about weeding. You know what I mean? Like, come on. But it's just part of, you know, the daily maintenance in my garden. And it's not even daily, really. It's just periodic maintenance. I don't weed all the time. I should, but I don't. But you can see we got most of it cleared out, and we got some parsnips. Everything that's green is a parsnip over here. And it looks like the rutabagas have started to overtake, which is okay. We gave them plenty of room, but they're just starting to, but it looks like they're going to come through just fine. So, I mean, you know, the content here is going to be about the same, but instead, I think I'm going to be showing you a lot more about my daily and weekly tasks about what I do in my garden. So that's basically what today is. We're kind of setting the stage for that. You know, it's almost like a syllabus. Maybe not for you, but for me, if that makes any sense. Fighting, and y'all know this if you've been watching, is this right here. I hate it, and it keeps creeping up and spreading. So I need to figure out a way over the winter, once things are harvested, to try and eliminate that as best as possible. I'm going to figure it out. I can go ahead and tell you right now, it's going to be a deep tilling on here to get all of that stuff pulled up. And then we can pull out all the rhizomes and whatnot. And that does help cut it back, but we're going to have to do it multiple times. I can go ahead and tell you that. So that's definitely on the docket for right now. There's just, it's a lot, you know, and it's when you're trying to balance a garden. I think there's a misconception that I'm out in my garden like all the time, and I'm really not. And I think that's really important for people to see as well. I think it's important for people to see that, like, you don't have to be a slave to your garden. You don't have to, you know, you can balance other things, you know. We record a podcast and we do everything for it. We make these videos, we edit all of them. We grow this food, I grow all of it, and then I preserve it and harvest it and take care of it. So there's a lot that we do, but day to day, there's so much more. I told you we were gonna pull these potatoes out, and I never did. I mean, truth be told, it's only been like 24 hours, so, you know, give me a break, but look how much this opens it up. Look at that. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot. It doesn't seem crazy, but that whole area right there just opened up for some serious, like, sun and air. Because, I mean, if you look, the dew's really heavy this time of year, and this will just invite disease. It's not a huge deal, but you just want to make as much airflow as possible. And it kind of eliminates us doing the spacing experiment without doing anything else. You know what I mean? Like, if we did the spacing experiment to cut down the moisture on the leaves, then we obviously need to do more to help facilitate that, and getting rid of that is going to help. And also coming in here, look at all of this stuff. It's so bad. I know I'm all over the place today, and I apologize for that, but that's how today is going to be. But another thing that we've got going on here, I just came out last week and I harvested a pile of shit and we put it in our compost. Yeah, it's all chicken manure here. So unfortunately, we did a bunch of weeding around everywhere except for in the garden, and all the weeds got put in here, which isn't ideal, but we're gonna try and just cook it down. So one of the things I do absolutely need to do, you can see my compost pile is derelict at this point. The bins are falling apart. So it is time to redo those, and that's gonna be on it too. But what we need to do as well is, once we start getting these leaves up and shredding them, we're gonna start building out this compost pile, and we gotta really get it to cook. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get it from 0 to as much compost as possible in the shortest amount of time, and I'll show you how I do that. And it's gonna be a lot of work, but we do need to get the compost, and like right now is compost season. I mean, you can see the leaves have not started changing completely here, but it is not gonna be long, and they will be hitting the ground. So we're gonna get those up. We are going to rake those up, we're gonna chop them up, and we're gonna be adding them in and really beefing up our piles. And that's just gonna help with everything else in the future, because even though the plan come about January is to load up each and every bed with topsoil, we are still at planting, at minimum, the planting for summer. So that would be your tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that. At minimum, we would like to get compost in the ground in the planting holes for each one. I do not plan on really putting a layer of my own compost on here. It's just easier for me to get a whole truckload and then just dump it on. I mean, certain beds are gonna need more than others, and that's okay. But one of the things that we wanna do is just make sure that everything gets a load. A lot of effort into moving these 4 beds last year, and also I believe we topped off some of these beds, these 2 beds here, and it just took a lot. So once you get these things set up, it's actually not that bad to load them up. I mean, I believe I did 2 pickup loads, and this is what we got. And these beds aren't totally full, but now we can do 2 pickup loads, and half of the garden will be topped off with 1, if not less than 1 of the loads of dirt. And then the rest of it we can use out here and just build out. And what I'll probably end up doing is, because these are so low, I'll still focus on these, but as we get back everything, we'll get it. And then if we need more, we can use our compost, something like that. That'll be for January. That's a big task, and I do it over 2 weeks. I do 1 load a week just to keep the load easy on myself. So we'll do 1 load, set it up, be done with it, then come back the next week and do another one. I think you're moving 1,500 pounds of dirt by hand, so I don't really want to do it, back-to-back days. I want to do it, recover, go back through it. I find that the older I get, recovery time's not as good. Y'all know the deal if you got any age on you. So, and there's no rush. That's the beauty of it. There's absolutely no rush in the wintertime. Get a lot of people asking me with our bees, if we have bees that fertilize stuff over here, pollinate, excuse me, and we come over here, I just saw them and I had to get a spider web out of the way. But that's what you get for pollinators. You don't really get a lot of the honeybees over here. I think we got probably over 1 million bees right there. And they really don't come over here very much and pollinate. It's just, we get a lot of bumblebees, and then all the pollinators that you never ever see. One thing that they do though is they come over here and they drink the water off of all the leaves. So there is that. Doesn't really do us any good, but it helps them. So 2 things left to do today. I'm going to take you to my fertilizer injector, and we are going to inject fertilizer into this half of the garden today. It's this half. Wherever the injector is hooked up. So my water I have hooked up, one on this side hits the front 4 beds, and then this side hits the rest of the beds. And so I've split the difference, and I'll do one day, and then the next day I'll come out and inject the other one. So we'll do that. And then also what I got to do is I have to treat. So I forgot to treat yesterday. I know it's terrible. And we're supposed to get some rain. So I really want to stay on top of that and get the rain, or get it treated, the treatment on the leaves for the cabbage worms before it actually starts to rain and it has time to take effect and actually start to work. Oh wait, I forgot. If there's anything you want to see, let me know in the comments below, because I can always make a video on it, and it really helps when y'all tell me what you want to see, because then you get what you want. In the workshop area now, this is a project I got going on. I took this radio apart and I'm trying to build a battery box with a radio and stuff out of it, trying to reuse old parts. So that's what's going on. But what we're here for is some fertilizer. So this here, I keep it in here because I repackaged it because the bag it came in wasn't sealed. This is, as you can see, 20-20-20. And this is the Haas fertilizer. So far, I've really enjoyed it. The thing I really like about it is the blue color. I know it's kind of stupid, but it's really easy to see the strength that it's coming out in the injector when you're doing it. And I'll show you that in just a second. For that bed, the injector's already set up to do the front half. So we're gonna do the front half of the garden today. And I may do the other half this afternoon just to go ahead and knock it out. But it's a smaller portion of the bed. So I usually put about 1/3 of a cup of this in for the other one, and it's a little bit light, but it does do the trick. I'm gonna go just a scant of 1/3 of a cup, just a little bit less, and that should do the trick. I don't wanna over fertilize. We put a lot into it, a lot of fertilizer, and so I don't want to do what the worst case scenario and start dumping it in. That's just not what we want to do, because we put a lot of nitrogen in it. It's already in the soil, so it was water soluble. As soon as the water hit it, we watered it in, it rained, it's in there, it's working. And then we put, on top of that, we put a slow release organic fertilizer. So that's starting to take effect. And then we'll put this in, and this will really round out our fertilization for the most part, for this part of the growing season. Here's where the magic happens. So I've got my basic timer, nothing crazy. And then this looks a little bit more complicated than it really is, but we've got quick disconnects because I moved this from side to side. And then the 2 hoses that come out. So we come out here, and the clear one is the outflow. So we turn that off to start off with. And then here's the actual rig. And so the one thing, since I've started using this fertilizer, that I really do enjoy is when I take the top off, you can see it's just water in there. When I was using liquid organic fertilizer, basically fish oil or fish water, fish fertilizer, it always left a film in there and it would clog everything up. So what I'm doing here is I'm just dumping out some of it so that we can get the fertilizer in to mix it. And then we add this in. Bada bing. See how it makes it a little bit blue in there? I really don't like getting this stuff on my hands, but it'll be all right. I haven't found a better way to add it in without bringing in some kind of funnel or something like that. And then we make sure that the O-ring is in. This is kind of a pain. Sometimes they can get pinched a little bit. You're looking into getting an injection system to fertilize, which I highly recommend you do, especially for like a drip irrigation. You could use this with like a sprinkler. It would just obviously fertilize everything, and it'd be kind of wasteful, but it would definitely work. But with an injection, or with a what's it called, drip system, It worked really good. And I got everything from I did a video earlier this year about it, and I gave all the stuff you needed. It was Drip Depot, yeah. And this is the Easy Flow, and I got to tell you, it was a little bit expensive. It was roughly 80 bucks for the system, for the injector itself. I had an issue with it this year, and they just sent me the piece, no questions asked, to fix it. They've done it twice actually. And every time I call the company, they're really good. So I dumped it out, and what we do is we fill it back up with water. I had a bit of a leak because I spoke into existence that gasket wasn't sealed. But with this closed off and it running, it'll fill up. Once it fills up, we turn it on. And if you watch this hose, you should be able to start seeing water come through. And we'll just give it a little bit of a shake. And the water will start turning blue. You can see the bubbles moving through it, and that means that it is actually feeding. So a lot of times what'll happen is all the bubbles will come out. It'll sit there, you won't really know what's going on, and I'll shake it so there's some bubbles made. See, all the bubbles are out now, so you don't see anything really. And then we'll change that, and then you start to see that it's going through. So it got a little bit of a blue tint to it, not a whole lot, which is exactly what we want for this. So we'll run that for about 90 minutes, and that should push it all through and then flush it out a little bit as well. Now we got a treat for the cabbage worm, which is attacking our Brussels sprouts and our broccoli. Starting, once it does that, it ain't long before it gets over to everything else. So we're just gonna do a full treatment and be done with it. About a half gallon of water here. It doesn't take a whole lot, believe it or not. Dump a little bit out. I use this sprayer here. I believe there's one in the Amazon list below. Works really good. Problem I have with it is I don't take good care of it, so I end up having to replace it. That's my own problem though. That's my own fault. So what I use is Thuricide BT. It's Bacillus thuringiensis, completely organic. Works great for this. And it's really the only fall treatment I do unless I get some kind of weird outbreak in the greenhouse when it's planted, which can happen because it's a different climate in there. So then we can switch over to a different if we need to, but this is all we do. And just a dab will do you. That may have actually been a little bit much, but that's okay. I just do a dab. I've tried to have measuring spoons out here and I lose them all the time. And what I found is that because I lose them, I wouldn't treat, and then I would lose my crop. So I just started eyeballing it. Yeah, it's starting to leak, so we'll have to get a new one. I vow, when I get the new one, I will not, mark my words, leave it out, and I will take care of it. I promise. I make this statement here on YouTube and everywhere else. I plan to do that. Of course, it's completely dead, so I am gonna go get a new one now. Today, I have to, because you can't make this stuff and let it sit. You have to make it and then use it. You can't just pre-make batches of it. So it kind of sucks, but whatever, you got to get it done. But I'll walk you through what I do. So basically what I do is I walk around one side, I spray everything here. I walk across the other side, spray across, get down to the middle, and then make sure you're getting underneath all of the leaves as much as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it does make a difference. And then when you get in here, you just take your wand and you walk up underneath and you just angle it up a little bit, and then it'll spray underneath and get all that. And it's the same thing. I try and do all angles of the beds. What I will treat with this BT today will be broccoli, Brussels sprouts, rutabagas can be affected, spicy Cali 55, which don't know what the hell that tastes like, the cabbages, the collards, the bok choy, the lettuce, and just for good measure, because we're doing it for the greens, we are going to do the turnips here that are all right here. This is getting kind of crazy, but that's a whole nother video in itself. But that's everything that we're treating with the BT. And like I said, a half gallon of it will do all of that. It's a fine spray you put on it. So the last thing you want is big water droplets because it'll just run off. And to be honest, by me waiting, it'll work out pretty good because all the leaves will be drier. and it'll stick to the leaves better. And the way it works is the caterpillar will eat the leaves, and then it affects their stomach and just makes them not want to eat anymore, and they will end up dying out. So this will be our second. We're gonna need to do a third because they're being stubborn. So what we did is we killed the first crop, then they hatched, they did another one, and then we'll do it again at the end to kind of clear up everything, all the new eggs and stuff that did, and we should be good to go. So that's everything that we're doing right now. I've got a whole list of things that's coming up. We're gonna be doing some seed starting. We're gonna be doing some construction. There's gonna be a lot happening. So stay tuned. And I hope that you are cool with me taking you as I do this work around my garden, because I just can't let it pile up anymore. I've got to get it done, but we'll find some good stuff in. And to be totally honest, it's gonna be very seasonal appropriate because that's what I'm doing in my garden at that time.